Can everybody hear me all right? I'm not a shouter, so if you can't hear me, just come on in closer. Well, I want to thank y'all for being here today, and I know that you have work and family and a lot of things you could be doing right now rather than standing on the sidewalk and listening to somebody talk about politics. So I do appreciate y'all being here. And before I get started, I just want to say a quick word about Judge Crosby. Of course, as you all know, I still call him Judge even though he's Senator. He'll always be Judge Crosby to me. He announced his retirement yesterday, and he's one of the finest men I know. I got to know him right when we first came to Tifton, and Erica's actually had the opportunity to try a couple of cases in front of him, and she talked about how great he was as a judge during a jury trial. And of course, he served 20 years on the bench in Superior Court, served about 7 years prior to that as the state court judge here in Tift County, and then after his career on the bench, became a senior judge and then served 5 years in the Senate. And his retirement is going to leave a gaping hole up there in Atlanta. And I just wanted to publicly thank Judge Crosby for all his service, and hopefully we can carry on the tradition of leadership and service that he's laid out before us. Well, I'm humbled that you all came. I know y'all are not here for me. Y'all are here because you care about Georgia, and you want this state to move forward and progress. You care about your kids. You care about our economy. You want the way of life that we have in South Georgia to keep going on strong. And I just appreciate y'all being here. Now, most of you know that I grew up in Sylvester, just down the road. And during my childhood, most of my memories go back to my grandfather's gas station. And I used to hang around up there. I was not very good at the mechanic work. I was better at the talking and listening and the social part of it than the actual doing the job. And while I was there, during that era, it wasn't like today where you pull up to the store, you get your gas, you get a Coke, and you leave. It was more like a community hangout. People came around, they stayed, they talked, and it was every kind of person you can imagine, all walks of life. Farmers, storekeepers, any occupation you can think of, that's who came. And they talked about their fears and their dreams and their obstacles, and they talked about the issues that faced our community and the issues that faced our nation and faced our state. And the more I think about it, that was 30 years ago. But a lot of the issues that they talked about are still things that we face today. They wanted their kids to get a good education. They wanted them to be able to go off to school or stay right here and go to school. They wanted them to be able to come home, get a good job, just live an enjoyable life, work hard, earn a living, and not have the government really mess around in their lives a whole lot. Just be good citizens and have a good life. And that's really what people want today. Now, I was fortunate. I was able to sort of live that dream. I was able to get a good education, go off to school, come home, and I had the fortunate opportunity to work here in South Georgia and come back home. And that's what I've been doing for the past 9 years. I've been here working to enforce the laws of this state, putting bad guys in jail when they needed to. For folks that didn't need to go to jail, maybe they needed to go to rehab of some sort. And that was sort of what I've tried to do, is to help people along, whether they need punishment, whether they needed something else, to make our community safer. I've really enjoyed those 9 years of service, and I felt like it was time after 9 years to turn that service here at the local level into service at the state level. And so I felt like it was time, and this opportunity arose to try to serve you all in the General Assembly. Now, South Georgia in particular, faces some real challenges. The last 20 to 30 years, we've been losing population as a proportion to Atlanta and North Georgia. And what that means is every 10 years when we redraw our district lines, we lose representatives, we lose senators. So we need somebody in Atlanta from this part of the state that can carry on the tradition of people like Judge Crosby and go up there and be a strong voice and a strong advocate for our part of the state in Atlanta. So with that in mind today, and with all you here, I wanted to formally announce my candidacy to represent the people of Crisp, Dodge, Dooley, Lee, Sumter, Tift, Turner, Wilcox, and Worth counties in the state Senate. So thank y'all very much. Now, as a prosecutor, I've sort of seen firsthand in court what happens when people come in and they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe in their future. It seems like a lot of people that we have in court dropped out of high school or, just barely got by. And when that happens, there's really no prospect for them to have a good job. So I think the first thing, that I want to work on in Atlanta is making sure that we invest in our education system. We have to invest in our K through 12 education. Now, we have good systems here, but we need to continue to make sure that they're strong. We're also fortunate that we have a lot of colleges and universities in our district and around our district. We have places like ABAC and UGA Tifton. We've got Georgia Southwestern up in Americus and Moultrie Tech. We've got, and I know I'm skipping some, but we've got institutions all around of post-secondary education. We need to invest in those areas too, so that kids can get a good education through the high school level and then go on to college or tech school or whatever to be able to learn the skills they need for today's global economy. If we do that, we can make sure that South Georgia continues to grow and prosper. Now, it's great to get everybody educated, but once they get educated, we need to make sure that there's a job to come back to. So we need to focus on our economy here. A lot of our best and brightest, once they get through with school, they go off to Atlanta. And that's okay. A lot of people are always going to be drawn to the big city. But if we have opportunity here, if we as a state are implementing policies to create jobs in South Georgia, we can keep a lot of our best and brightest here and help our economy to grow and help our communities to flourish. And what I mean by having the economy or helping the economy to grow, the state can do all sorts of things. We can lower the income tax burden on small businesses. And as you all know, small business is where most of the job creation comes from. We as a state, we need to have as little regulation as we can. We need to lower the tax burden on our small businesses. We also need to revamp our business tax structure for larger businesses so that they can be attracted to come to South Georgia and create jobs in our area. Now, when you talk about the economy in South Georgia, if you don't mention agriculture, you're missing the boat. Of course, agriculture is the #1 industry in Georgia. It's the lifeblood of our economy. Most of the policies that affect agriculture are set up in Washington, D.C. And Lord help us all being set in Washington, D.C. with the problems that are going on up there. But we as a state, we do have influence over agriculture things. Everything from research that goes on in our university systems to the marketing campaigns that go on through the Department of Agriculture. We as a state need to do everything we can to help our agriculture, our farmers and our agriculture-related businesses to grow and prosper. A big issue that's facing agriculture in South Georgia right now is the water situation. And of course, that's an issue that seems like it's been going on for years and years and years. And we in South Georgia, we're kind of caught between two giants. We're caught between the state of Florida, that they want more and more of our water, and we're caught between Metro Atlanta that needs more and more water as their growth continues. So that's just another reason that we need a strong advocate for South Georgia up at the Capitol to be able to advocate and not let those people up there forget that, hey, it's not, we all want Atlanta to grow. That's not the issue. But if we're going to feed this state and feed the country, we've got to have water resources here in South Georgia, and we need somebody that can make that case. Well, the last thing I want to mention to you today, I think we need to have strong ethics laws in our state. You all need to be confident that your representatives in Atlanta are working for you and not for themselves. So we need to look at everything we can do to make sure that our state government is open, transparent, and honest. And I will commit to you that I will work to do that. That's been my sworn oath as a prosecutor, to do justice and basically to do what's right. And that's what we need in Atlanta, are people that'll do just what's right. So I commit to you that I will work to make sure that we have some of the strongest and toughest ethics laws in our state so that you can have a government you can be proud of. It's going to be a long campaign. We know that. It looks like there's going to be a primary May the 20th rather, the general election in November. So we've basically got a year ahead of us, and it's going to be a struggle. So we're going to need all of y'all's help. And again, I appreciate y'all coming. And I do want to mention, I didn't when I first started, but I especially want to thank the law enforcement folks that are out here today. Captain Reese, thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here. And Deputy Dove back in the back, they didn't know I was going to single them out, but these are the guys that I work with every day, and they have to put up with me in court. So I just thank y'all for coming out. Don't believe a word they say about me. Listen, everybody, we're going to travel this district from one end to the other. The line that I've worked out is we're going to go from Bridgeboro to Chester and Smithville to Brookfield. It takes about 2.5 hours to drive the district from one end to the other, and we're going to try to be in every corner of it. So again, it's going to be a long year. We're going to work hard. Appreciate any help that y'all can give us. And one thing I would ask right now today, I've told you a lot of things that I want to do and that I want to promise you. I just ask that each one of y'all keep Erica and I in your prayers. You know, she's going to be pulled on a lot here. She's going to do a lot of writing and a lot of traveling and a lot of door to door. So just keep us in mind and keep us in your prayers. And we're going to try to work hard to make you proud and make South Georgia proud. So with that, thank y'all for being here, and I'll stick around. Anybody wants to ask any questions or talk? Any questions, comments?
Bryce, got some schools in the Atlanta area, some high schools being constructed in the Atlanta area that are being constructed $27 million over budget. And we've got classrooms here that can't even be renovated because there's no money available to some of our school systems here. Now, how do you repair that disconnect between the metro area and rural South Georgia? What's your plan?
Well, I think that there's got to be fairness in education funding. There's been a lot of talk over the past few years about how much money goes into education. Right now, our K-12 budget in the state of Georgia, we have about a $19 billion state budget, and 43% of that goes to K-12 education. I think we need to sit down and make sure that, you know, you've got counties, you've got Cobb and Gwinnett and some of those counties that just have these tremendous tax bases. And then you've got other counties in South Georgia that don't have as big a tax basis. So I think we need to sit down and look at how we fund education and make sure that every child in Georgia has an opportunity to go to a good school, you know, and that they can have a nice place to learn. But that's going to be the main thing, is get in there and figure out how we fund, how we have an equitable funding, I guess, of the state school system.
Okay, can I follow that up?
Sure,
in regard to equitable funding, yeah. Is that going to be part of your ethics agenda?
Well, I don't know that it's part of ethics necessarily, but it will be, you know, something we want to look at as far as how we fund the Department of Education and how we get those dollars to the local level. I think we need to make sure that our local systems have flexibility in how they spend dollars. You know, there's certain monies that school systems can use. Like, for example, they can have SPLOST money that they can use for capital outlays. So they can build a building, and that's great, you got a new building, but how do you pay the light bill once you get the building built? So I think we at the state level need to look at how we can give local school boards the most flexibility possible to use those resources that they get. Kyle, anything?
Did you consult with Judge Crosby before you decided to throw your hat in the ring?
Well, listen, I always ask people that have gone before me for advice because I know I need to learn from those that have been there. And former Senator Carter's here. I've asked his advice. I've talked to Senator Crosby on occasion, and I just sort of asked for tips here and there. So yeah, I've talked to him on occasion. Yeah. All right, thank y'all very much.